everyone! Today I am going to be drawing the same drawing in multiple different mediums and then basically comparing them. So here I'm just sketching out a girl running down a hall, and I thought this would be fun, just an action pose with awesome flowy hair and a background. And here you can see me also using the invert horizontal tool, which was rather useful in helping figure out my mistakes by just looking at it from a new angle. And that was rather useful over the course of this drawing. And actually, digital art has a lot of cool tools that you can use to help make your drawing look better. Like the ruler tool, which actually was rather consistent over the course of these drawings. And let's see, there was magic wand and a lasso tool also in my drawing app, which you obviously can't really use in other mediums. I mean, heck, a magic wand and a lasso? It sounds like some cowgirl magical girl. So here I'm just moving on to the second sketch layer. And layers are also a thing that's really helpful with digital arts, because then certain elements that you don't want interacting don't interact with each other. And with things like that, normally you'd have to wait for something to dry and things like that. And with digital art, you don't have to wait any time at all. And I don't know, that was also something that's really nice. But here's just me fixing up mistakes over the course that I made with this. And here you just saw me flipping between the invert horizontal tool, because the wall was looking a little bit off until I realized that it didn't have to be a rectangular prism. It could just be insert like 3D object here, like the room that she's in doesn't have to be rectangular. So here I'm just doing the line art, and the line art over the course of these was rather consistent, except for one thing, is that you have the backspace tool with digital art that you don't really have in other mediums. So that was rather useful. But for the wall, I had to redraw that wall 3 different times. And I don't know why I'm so annoyed. It's probably because the wall was just really annoying, in my opinion. And maybe the wall was probably not the best thing to do, but I don't know. I rather liked the wall in the end. And maybe doing it 3 times over helped with the best result, but I don't know. It felt really time consuming. So with her color choice, I just kind of fiddled with things around a bit until I got what I liked. So then the brick texture. I actually rather like in this one. And this was probably one of the best ones in my opinion. But that's also probably because I drew it first and then it already had that engraved thing in my mind. This is the best one. And that probably sounds really weird saying it out loud, but it kind of did have that kind of impression on me with you drew it first, you kind of have that sort of thing in your mind, is that's what the rest of them should be like. So, I don't know, but here I'm just fixing up that texture a little bit more, and I probably also was another thing that I had access to a lighter, it's not a tone, but lighter color for the brick as well. But also, here's the shading layer, and with the shading layer you could also lower the opacity, which helps a lot. And it's not like you have to choose that one color right away. But with that, the piece is done. And here I'm just moving on to the markers. Now, one thing that you might notice is that my sketchbook is rectangular. And I made my digital art piece square. So that might mess up the comparison a little bit, but probably not by much. So here you could just see me using a protractor and a ruler interchangeably just to get those brick wall lines in there. And yeah, just having that be relatively consistent. There are probably way more brick lines in this one and the next one than in the digital art piece, but oh well. And that's just something that you can't really get rid of. So here again, more brick wall. There's a lot of brick wall because that brick wall, you just have to get the details in there. And with the line art, it becomes more and more clear that you don't really have a backspace button. And that's just something with most traditional art mediums, is that you don't have a backspace, but you really have to say it. Even though it's obvious, it's you're comparing it to something that has a backspace normally. So Here you're just using the Sharpie to fill in those black spaces that you have in there, you know, with the missing bricks and other things. And with that, like, I had to use my black anyway, just to hide the inconsistencies with that, but oh well. Like, also I just used white gel pen just to show that the hair isn't one with the dark archway. And this project really wasted my markers. Like, some of these markers were drying out anyway, but you could just see the blotches at the bottom as the marker is just drying out. And thankfully my yellow didn't, because I had to cover more space, but like, just dang. And also the brick textures on this one were rather nice as well. Like, I just rather like the brick. Like, no matter how painstakingly hard it is, it just looks rather nice. But brick aside, I actually have relatively few colors to work with, so it was kind of hard to get some of the details that I had with the digital one. And that piece is done, and now we are moving on to pencils. And the main problem with pencils is that I didn't know when the sketching ended and the major, like, detail work began, because it was like, I don't know, I normally use pencils for sketching and, like, sketching things out for other mediums and just sketching in my sketchbook in general. So that was kind of hard to figure out. But not only that, but just how do you, like, use like different lightnesses and darknesses to define objects and define shapes. That was something that transitioning a piece that had color to a piece that isn't entirely in grayscale was kind of hard, and probably just something that's difficult for me in general that I should probably work on. I probably should get back into doing pencil drawings again, but I don't know, it's kind of hard to figure out, like, especially with this piece. But with that, the piece is done. If there were things I would have done differently, I probably would have changed the texture for the bricks with the pencil drawing. I really want to try getting back into drawing backgrounds with pencil again. With the marker, I probably would have made it smaller, not only to keep the comparison similar, but just to not waste my markers. With the digital, there wasn't really much I found wrong with it. It was actually turned out really nicely. So if you guys like my content and want content similar to this, please hit the like and subscribe buttons. And if you have any challenges for me, please let me know in the comment section down below. And without further delay, have a magnificent day, and I will see you all later.